Hello everybody, I'm Fuzzyface. Welcome back once again to this Motorsport Manager career. We're back with round 13 today. We're heading to Japan for the Yokohama Grand Prix. If you look at the little bar here, it was fully green. It is now a lighter shade of green, which means we are actually falling behind the Mercedes, who I'm guessing have been introducing updates pretty rapidly, seeing as how quick the Mercedes and especially Lewis Hamilton has been over the last few races. Obviously the last race he was by far and away the quicker driver, but Mercedes a little bit too aggressive with their pit stop strategy, pulled Lewis in for a third pit stop after for some reason coming out on a super soft, wrecked his race pretty much, allowed Sebastian Vettel to pick up the win in the last race in Russia. But hopefully Mercedes are going to have themselves sorted out for this race, and Vettel and Hamilton are going to keep fighting it out. Hopefully we're going to keep Esteban Ocon somewhere in the mix as well. It's going to be a wet race. Maybe we're going to have safety cars, maybe we're going to have some AI issues with their tyres in the rain. We won't know until we actually get to the race, but it has worked out for us in the past rainy races. We know our Williams car is really strong in wet weather. Lando Norris has improved a little. He's improved a little, or quite a lot. He's pretty much on a par with Esteban Ocon at the moment. That is down to this little boost that he's got at the moment. He's currently racing stock cars, which gives him a +1 boost to his braking. So Lando Norris is going to be improved right up until the end of the season, because it's going to last 25 weeks, which might also last into the beginning of next season as well. So that's not going to be too bad for us there. Also, we've got new sponsors here as well, so let's just see who we've got. We've got Red Bull, who tried to sponsor us last time, not offering a lot of money for 100 races. Haas, once again, wanting to sponsor us, 6.5 million. That's not a lot for over 2 seasons worth of that logo being on our car. And Pertamina as well, 10 races, £1 million up front. Not much in the way of a bonus payment, so I don't think I'm actually going to accept any of these offers. I'm just going to let the Haas and Pertamina offers expire and then see if we can get a little bit of a better sponsor, because it's still a long time to be locked in for 10 races just for £1 million. So we're just going to actually skip filling in slot 1, so we're going to be one sponsor down. We're going to have no sponsor on the side pod as we head to Japan and to the first of the 2 Phoenix Grand Prix, and then hopefully we've got a decent sponsor to finish the season on. So other than that, there's not much to go over, so we're going to jump straight into the race weekend. Obviously now we have to revert to Puma, who are offering us 200,000 for 13th or above, which is why we signed them, because we knew UPS would run out and we possibly wouldn't get them again. So we've got Puma there, at least filling in a little bit. Obviously we're losing about £200,000 per race now. Once again, we've got a little bit of money left in the bank. We should be getting a lot of prize money in at the end of the season as well, but hopefully the rain is going to work out for this weekend. So we're going to jump over practice as usual, and we'll be back hopefully this time for both cars in Q3, and we'll see how we get on once we get to that point. So here we go with the first flying lap of the session of ours in Q3. Unfortunately, Lando Norris outside the top 10 once again, and once again he will be starting the race in 11th place. Esteban Ocon again only just sneaking through into Q3. He was 9th in Q2. Luckily, he only had to do 1 run, so he's got 2 pairs of the softest tyre compound for this qualifying session. Rain did hit the end of the session in Q1 and Q2. It doesn't look like it's going to rain at all though in Q3. Ocon at the moment quicker than both McLarens. Looks like he's going to be end up behind the Ferrari. Charles Leclerc going quickest at the moment. Could Leclerc be on for a podium here? Although he goes 3rd overall there, and Hamilton and Vettel currently on the front row of the grid. So here we go with our second lap in Q3. Is Ocon going to be able to pull out all the stops as we saw in the last qualifying session, as we've seen from him once before as well? Leclerc, Verline, Hulkenberg on really used soft tyres there, but Leclerc, Verline, Hamilton all on used soft tyres. Vettel is the only one in the top 4 on fresh soft tyres. That could allow Ocon here up a little bit further up the grid, but he's slower on the first sector here. Possibly, no, he goes a little bit quicker in the second sector. So where is he going to be as he comes across the line? I don't think he's going to go any better than 7th, although he does. He moves ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Vettel moves up to 1st place, Hamilton 2nd, and Leclerc 3rd. So here we go with the grid for the 2020 Japanese Grand Prix. The front row of the grid, as usual, Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton. Not that far apart, but Vettel 2 tenths ahead of Hamilton. That's quite a little bit of a gap, actually, as Vettel looks to solidify his place at the top of the driver's standings at the moment. Try and open up that gap a little bit more from 2nd place Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc is 3rd in the Ferrari, and Danny Rick has improved a little bit this race up into 4th place in the Red Bull. And as you can see, everyone is starting the race on the intermediate tyres. Rain is here right at the start of the race. On the 3rd row of the grid, we've got K-Mag in the Mercedes in 5th. Esteban Ocon, our first driver there in the Williams, in 6th place. Pascal Wehrlein 7th in the Aston Martin Red Bull car. And 8th, we got the McLaren of Van Dorn, followed by his teammate Valtteri Bottas in 9th. 10th place, we got Nico Hulkenberg in the Renault, followed by Lando Norris outside the top 10 once again. But hopefully he can have a decent race once again here. Felix Rosenqvist in 12th in the Renault, followed by Roman Grosjean in 13th, and his teammate Carlos Sainz is just behind him. Max Verstappen still struggling in this Force Indycar, finds himself in 15th, and Billy Johnson, a little bit of an improvement from him, up into 16th place in the Toro Rosso. Sergio Perez finds himself in 17th place, followed by Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso, and then we've got the 2 Saubers bringing up the rear, Alex Lynn and Marcus Ericsson. So here we go into this race. The plan of attack is pretty much to look after these intermediate tyres. The weather, even though it is going to be raining all out at certain points during this race, the track temperature and air temperature is still really high. So instead of pushing the tyres here, we're just going to sit here in neutral, because we just want to hold this tyre back. Ocon has held on to 6th place. Lando Norris has held on to 11th place. Because basically what we want to do, the rain is going to stop around lap 30, and I want to take these intermediates through by just doing one stop. If we can do one stop, it is going to be really beneficial for us if we can just do one stop until the rain stops. If the AI burns through their tyre a little bit quicker than we do, then obviously they're going to have to do 2 stops, and that will put us into a really good position for that period of the Grand Prix. So we're starting to get into a little bit of the wetter weather now. We've lost a couple of places with both cars, but as it is, we're just going to be looking after the tyres at the moment, as we see a lot of teams possibly try to do what we're doing by going in low mode as well. But whilst we're doing that, a couple of teams higher up the order are pushing their tyres a little bit more than we are at the moment. So we're just going to speed up here, because every car just seems to settle into a little bit of a pattern at the moment, whereas we've got Norris just behind Valtteri Bottas and Felix Rosenqvist in the McLaren and Renault respectively. Norris threatening Valtteri Bottas here, who's sort of cooled off as this season's gone along. He started off the season really well, but he's really cooled off as the season's gone on. He finds himself in 10th place. His teammate Stoffel Van Dorn finds himself in 13th place as well. And there are rumours circulating about the paddock, a little bit of a teaser for next season, that McLaren will be going with a Mercedes engine next year. So we could be seeing an increased performance from them next season. Whether that's going to make much a difference to them over the Renault engine is another thing entirely. But as it is, Ocon is still just following the top 3 teams at the moment. We got both the Mercedes, both the Ferraris and both the Red Bulls in front of Ocon, pretty much where they should be. They do have the better cars at the moment. They've possibly been upgrading whilst we've been focusing on next year's car. They might be throwing some risky parts in there, which might move Ocon up a little bit as this race goes on. But as it is, we're holding onto this tyre pretty well. We've gone about a quarter of a way through it, doing 5 laps, and this tyre goes away at about 10%, so we might even be able to push a little bit on the second stint, just as we're about to make and start thinking about the pit stop when the rain's stopping, which is what we're hoping to do here. As we see with the Red Bull in front, they have used 7% of the more tyre there, and Hamilton meanwhile is down at 71%, so I'm guessing they're going to be able to stretch out to do this one stop as well. But we're just hoping to hold off a little bit longer than they are, whereas Norris meanwhile is still in front of Bottas here. We've got a Haas of Roman Grosjean in front. Obviously Norris being outside the top 10 doesn't have the luxury of having the fresher tyres in the top 10, so It's going to be a little bit of a struggle for him to start getting back up the order as he did in the last race, but we do have Felix Rosenqvist in front. Should we push the tyre just a tiny little bit, since we know we've got a little bit of room in it, just to try and clear the two cars in front? We know we are quicker than the Renault and the Haas, so if we can get pushing here a little bit, hopefully we're not pushing too much in the rain that we're going to cause a crash for ourselves. But if we just give ourselves one lap, we know we've got the pace on Felix Rosenqvist down the straight. We should have the pace on Roman Grosjean as well in the Haas car, just to move ourselves up into the top 10, and then we should have some clear air to then run in. Don't have any spray in front. If we can just make this move on Roman Grosjean before the end of this lap, we don't want to push this tyre too much, just so we can stick with our strategy. But we'll just give it one blast down the straight as Roman Grosjean starts to get away as we come down the pit straight. Can we actually get past Roman Grosjean here, or are we going to have to turn down before we do it? Norris is coming from a long way back. No, we're going to have to stay like this for one more lap, maybe go overtake mode. I do want to clear this Haas, even if it compromises our strategy a little bit, because he's going to be slowing us down a little bit too much. He's Grosjean if we can't do this. And there goes Norris, and we're going to start cooling this tyre down now. Hopefully we can stay ahead of Roman Grosjean as we do that, whereas Ocon has got himself back onto the pack of this little pack of Verline, Leclerc and Magnussen in front, the second cars of their respective teams really, as we've got Vettel, Hamilton and Ricciardo keeping pace this race. So I'm guessing maybe Red Bull have made some upgrades as we see Ocon manage to get past the Red Bull of Pascal Wehrlein, and Wehrlein coming back at him now around the chicane. We're just keeping pace once again with Ocon. We're going to make our move towards the end of the race here, and Norris meanwhile has opened up a gap of about a second ahead of Roman Grosjean, even though we're just in backup mode on this tyre at the moment, just trying to bring him more in line with Esteban Ocon at the moment. But should we get him pushing again? Ocon has gone ahead of Wehrlein, then fallen behind him once again, as we were just concentrating there. We're in a war at the moment with Pascal Wehrlein. Kevin Magnussen going slow out of that corner as well. So should we push? We've got the room here. Can we try and get the move, make this move stick on Pascal Wehrlein for a little bit? I think we've got just enough tyre wear to do this without risking our strategy too much, as we've seen with Lando Norris, who've been able to move him ahead of the Haas doing this. Can we do the same with Ocon? We should have the speed over the second Red Bull to do this, especially down this pit straight. Can we make two moves in one? We've got Magnussen in front of us slowing us down. We try to go three wide into the corner. Wehrlein makes a move on Magnussen. Have we now got the speed to make the move on Magnussen here? We're running pretty close to him in the spray. Ocon looks to have a good line out of the corner. Can he catch him through the chicane? Runs over the grass. But can he make the move stick here? Runs a little bit wide, but makes the move stick over Kevin Magnussen there. Moving ahead of the Mercedes. We've used all the excess fuel that we've got. We're just going to dial back now a little bit. These tyres overheating. We're going to go into conserve mode once again. And we've got Norris almost on the back of Nico Hülkenberg as well. We've caught up to the Renault in front of him. Can we get past him though? I don't really want to push the tyre much as it is. Rosenqvist getting off his tyre pretty early here. So we just sort of want to hang on to this tyre. We don't want them to overheat. So we're just going to run in conserve mode. We're possibly going to lose this place straight back to Kevin Magnussen as he's started to push now. He's running the opposite. So Kevin Magnussen's going to get back past us now. But we're just going to make our strategy. And Norris has actually managed to get past Hülkenberg, although Norris goes slow through the chicane there. And Hülkenberg manages to get back past him. We're just going to run here until around about lap 16 is what we want to get to. We're not going to be goaded into any more fights at the moment. We just want this tyre to cool down at the moment, just so it's not overheating, and thusly we don't have to get off it earlier than we want. We do need to go at least 15 laps on this tyre. Maybe 14 would do, but hopefully we can get 15, and then we're pretty comfortable during the second stint to get through to when the rain is about to stop, which is when we're going to make our move. We're just going to hold on to our strategy now. We're not going to be goaded into any more battles as we see Kevin Magnussen dive into the pits. Van Dorn, Hülkenberg as well. They're possibly going to be able to get the undercut on us, but our strategy is a longer strategy in that I don't think these cars are going to be able to chase the dry weather as well as we are. So we're on 18%. I think the Inters can go to 10% before they start to wear away. So I'm hoping we can get another lap out of this tyre. One more lap as we see Danny Rick dive into the pits. So Ocon is going to come in now. There's not much distance between our cars, but a pit stop at the moment only takes... What does it take at the moment? We can't see anything because we haven't actually changed tyres. So pit strategy will be 1.6 seconds. We've got a balanced pit stop. There's not a real chance of a mistake, as the mistake is only going to be coming from the guys fixing the parts. And since we've got no parts to fix here, we shouldn't be making a mistake. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we're not going to make a mistake, because that would cost us what we possibly might be gaining through running this strategy of going a little bit longer. Although we see Vettel, Hamilton, Leclerc, Gasly have been able to stretch out here to around about the same point that we have. Are we going to see Vettel dive into the pits? Vettel comes in. Hamilton is staying out one extra lap. Are his tyres better off here? He is at 18%. He's got another lap in him. And Leclerc's going longer as well. So Ocon comes into the pits. Hopefully he's going to be out before Norris gets there. Norris gets there, and two really quick pit stops there. We get a 1.6 and a 1.7. Really good pit stops there. We get back out into 7th and 10th. Pretty much about where we were. Although Ocon's lost a place to Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein must have gone really quick there because he's picked up quite a few places. But he's shredded this intermediate tyre. And as we know, the rain is going to stop. So Wehrlein might be in a little bit of trouble on this tyre, as might Kevin Magnussen. Danny Rick might be as well. Whereas Vettel, Hamilton and Leclerc fighting for the podium places here could be, they should be able to get to when the dry weather is going to hit this track. Ricciardo might be a little bit of a stretch to get there. It might cost him this podium place, but he's got 7 seconds on Charles Leclerc, so he should be alright for that point. Whereas we're just conserving for the first lap. We're going to conserve, and then we're going to, once we hit the line, then we're going to conserve, and then we're going to run it in attack mode for one lap to see what sort of pace we can get on this car. So as we sort of come down this long sweeping section of the track into the pit straight, we're going to turn up and get back into high mode. This is our planned strategy for this race, in that we've held a little bit of fuel back, so we should be able to speed up with Ocon now. See if we can get back onto the back of Pascal Wehrlein. We're currently 2 seconds behind. Norris is 4 seconds down the road from his teammate. He's got Van Dorn, Hulkenberg in front of him. Obviously, I'm hoping that they're going to have to change their tyres before the dry weather comes, which is going to compromise them a little bit. Obviously, it's not going to be that much of a compromise since the rain is not that heavy. They will be sort of on the crossover for the tyres, but it might benefit us a little if we can make this move with Norris. We know we're really quick now. We're getting this time down on Pascal Wehrlein as well with Ocon. Norris is 1.8 seconds behind Nico Hulkenberg now as well, as Ocon is hoping to start to close this gap to Pascal Wehrlein. He's getting really close here, but these tyres are getting really overheated. We don't want to use too much of this tyre, so we're just going to conserve now for a little bit. We might as well use the overtake mode to try and close this gap a little bit. And since we're in this position now, we're going to try and recover once again with Norris. We're going to save much of our fuel for once the track dries out, and that is the main point of the race, where we're going to see ourselves pushing in. Maybe we'll come in for, there is going to be about 12 laps left. The medium should do it, but we've got the little bit of a performance increase on the hard, and we can push the hard tyre all out to the end of the race. So maybe we might switch strategies, maybe with both cars. Would a hard tyre with the bonus and pushing all out, would that be better than not pushing the medium as much and not having the bonus? That is a little bit of an interesting one. I think the medium would be a little bit quicker at the start, but then there's going to obviously be a crossover the point, because the hard tyre doesn't really lose performance as it starts to wear away. We're back now on lap 26, as we've seen a couple of these teams starting to get rid of their intermediate tyres pretty early. Pascal Wehrlein has got off the Inter pretty early for this medium tyre, which isn't possibly going to work on this track, and it's a little bit suspect to be able to get to the end of the race as well. So it has worked out for us here, so we can go into attack mode now. We're not going to push the fuel with Ocon. We don't have as much to go there, but yeah, we do have quite a lot to go with the fuel as well, so we might as well get pushing here as we start to think about our pit stop. The dry weather is about to come, and we should have enough room in this tyre now to start pushing and stay ahead of maybe Kevin Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Van Dorn. They're going to be dropping down the order now. Wehrlein, as it is, where is he? 50.2 is he dropping behind here. as we see he's losing time to Lewis, he's possibly losing time to us as well. So as it is, he's losing at the moment. He's coming under pressure from Carlos Sainz as well, who's about to get off his intermediate tyre as well. And Ocon sets the quickest second sector of the race and the fastest lap of the race. So Ocon, Norris really flying here, just waiting for this rain to stop. We might have to try and cool this tyre down with Norris because they're fully overheated. They're possibly just about to fade away, so we'll just try and cool them down very briefly here for maybe half a lap. We're seeing more cars coming to the pits as well, getting onto the dry tyre before the track is fully dry. It's going to be the lap after this one, and we've seen Hamilton get into the pits early as well. So Norris comes flying through here. He's going to get back into attack mode. We're going to get both our cars into the pits this lap. This lap, it looks like it's right on the crossover. So Ocon at the moment is holding up Vettel, who's on the dry tyres, and Vettel's sort of hanging on to the back here. So it looks like we've hit the realistic crossover here. We've got 15 laps remaining. So should we go for the hard tyre and push until the end of the race? We see Leclerc is on the hard, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Van Dorn, Verline's on used mediums as well. We should be ahead of him. So if we go for these hard tyres, we should be able to push that hard tyre all out until the end of the race. The medium's possibly quicker for maybe 4 or 5 laps, but the hard tyre is going to be quicker as the race goes on here. So we've got both cars into the pits this lap. So Ocon is going to be out. We should be out way ahead of Pascal Verline here. And we've had an error on the tyres of Norris, but he should still be ahead. He's not going to be ahead of Magnussen, but we stay ahead of Pascal Verline here. So Ocon has moved himself up to 5th place here. He's got Charles Leclerc to chase down in front of him, who's also on the hard tyre. Vettel is about to set the quickest lap of the race as well. Vettel goes round in a 1-0-1. Ocon though can push here. We're going to have to go like push, but then cool the tyres back down again. But if we can just keep pushing here, we're quicker than Pascal Verline. It looks like we extending this gap. We won't be able to tell what sort of lap times we're getting out of this car until we do another lap. So we'll just speed up, and then we can sort of see what we're doing. Ocon does a 1:02.3, so we're sort of matching the medium tyres with what we're doing at the moment. And we've seen some cars start to go back down. So Ricciardo did a 1:05, whereas we see like from Pascal Verline a 1:04. So the hard tyre pushing all out seems to have been the right option here, considering we have the fuel as well to do this. And these tyres are starting to run a little bit hot, but we'll give it just a little bit longer here, and then we'll cool them back down, and then we can possibly just run in high mode then for a little bit, and these hard tyres should see us through to the end of the race. I don't think we're going to be able to catch up to Leclerc. We're about 6/10 quicker than him at the moment. Obviously we're going to have a little bit of a slower lap this time around. Norris though is chasing down Kevin Magnussen, although Kevin Magnussen's starting to speed up again a little bit. If Kevin Magnussen's back into neutral and neutral. If we ran neutral, our tyres would still heat up, as the weather is still really hot here, 30 degrees. Even though the rain stopped, the temperature got lower. But anyway, we still just try to cool this tyre down. We might just, we'll give it another lap, and then we can go back into high mode. Hopefully that gets us out of the red zone on the tyres. We have a lot of room to go with the fuel as well, with Norris and Ocon. So once we turn back up, can we close the gap to Kevin Magnussen and Charles Leclerc? That is the question. So if we switch things back up now, as Ocon comes across the line, he can go back up into push mode. We're just maybe going to hold off with Norris for another lap. He's going to go for a little bit longer in backup mode, or maybe half a lap once he hits his corner up about here. He's going to start closing that up. So now we're going to go into push mode with Norris and see if he can start coming back at Magnussen, even though Magnussen's opened up a 3.5 second gap now. Is Ocon going any quicker? He's about half a second quicker this lap, although we'll possibly see his full effect on the next lap. So what is Ocon currently doing? A 1:03.83, which is about the same as Leclerc, who's doing the exact same thing, which means we're actually a little bit quicker than the Red Bull, although nowhere near Vettel and Hamilton. They're still really quick, even though they're on used mediums at the moment. And Norris is starting to gain on Kevin Magnussen in front of him, although these tyres will overheat again really quickly, so we've just got to look after them. We'll try and cool down with Ocon and let him push a little bit further towards the end of the race. There's no real chance of him catching Leclerc. We just want to keep Magnussen behind us. So here we go with Norris in 7th place. If we can just keep him going here, if we can get him somewhere close to Magnussen, would be an amazing result for us. But as it is, Vettel has got a 6-second lead over Lewis Hamilton, who is thusly about 10 seconds up the road now from the Red Bull. Vettel would have a 19-point advantage if things stayed the same. Ferrari jump above us in the Constructors' Championship with both drivers right up there. Leclerc currently in 4th place at the moment. Ocon, no real chance of catching Charles Leclerc here. He's closed the gap up a little bit, but not by much. Norris, meanwhile, is struggling again a little bit now. If we just conserve now for a little bit, we're going to be able to catch Kevin Magnussen right at the end of the race. If we can get that done, if we can just cool down and then really push for Magnussen, because his tyres are going to be hitting the limit to the point where they're possibly going to be slowing down before the end of the race. And Ocon, 2.5 seconds. We are closing on Leclerc, so we're going to have some room to push for the last couple of laps. If we can just keep this going, one more lap like this, and then we can sort of push all out. We're just conserving things at the moment, just so we've got a really strong finish to this race. Whether we've got enough time to catch the cars in front, who knows, but hopefully we can try and do that. We've got Norris and Ocon here, and Ocon in 5th, Norris currently in 7th place, and Leclerc is starting to get a little bit too far away now, so we're going to go all out here, attack and overtake with both of these cars. The tyres are still a little bit too hot for Norris, but he should be able to make it to the end of the race. As it is, he's a long... Oh, we've got Magnussen has dived into the pits. He's got off that medium, so what we were doing with Norris in the hopes of trying to catch Magnussen. Magnussen has made a late pit stop. Mercedes once again going for a 3-stop. We're quite a long way behind Leclerc here, but we've got a little bit more tyre wear left. We've obviously got more fuel than him, but can we speed up enough that we're going to be able to catch him? I don't think that we are. Norris, meanwhile, he's just really pushing for no reason here because he's 10 seconds behind his teammate. There's a long way to Bottas as well, so we might as well just back him up, just make sure his tyres don't fade away before the end of the Grand Prix. Ocon, meanwhile, sets the quickest first sector of the Grand Prix. Is he going to set the quickest lap overall here? He's within 2.5 seconds of Charles Leclerc here. Fastest second sector now, and it looks like he's going to set the quickest lap here with a 1:01.1. So he's currently almost 3 seconds quicker than Leclerc, and he's right on the back of him here. We're on the last lap though, which means we can't push the fuel like this, but we can push the tyres. So we got right onto Charles Leclerc. He managed to pick up that 5 seconds. This hard tyre, seemingly the right choice here as Vettel finishes the race first. Hamilton across the line in 2nd. Ricciardo is going to get 3rd, but we'll stick here with Esteban Ocon. Can we push in high mode down the straight? And we've got Charles Leclerc here. Pretty much a reversal of the last race where we lost the place. I think it was Leclerc we lost the last place to on the line, but here we pick up that last place, and Norris has come across the line in 6th place. We'll see Bottas in 7th. Magnussen will cross the line in 8th place. Hulkenberg will cross in 9th, and Van Dorn will cross in 10th place there. So 4th place, an excellent finish there. Ocon catching Leclerc right on the line. We worked that strategy to perfection this time. Was right there with the fuel as well. Saved enough up that we were quick over the last couple of laps to close down that 5-second gap to Charles Leclerc. Absolutely amazing. But as we move on here, there might be some scrutineering. There might be some risky parts. No, there isn't. We remain 4th and 6th overall there. So the Drivers' Championship looks like this at the moment, heading into the final 4 races. It should be now. There's Phoenix, Brazil, Doha, I think. Is it Doha? Maybe, I don't know. And then we finish with the oval once again at Phoenix. But here is the driver standards. We've got Vettel 19 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and then 9 points back to Esteban Ocon, and then Lando Norris a little bit further back than that. So Esteban Ocon is still in the fight here, but it's going to be pretty hard to keep up with the performances of Vettel and Hamilton. Even Charles Leclerc has clawed his way back up into 6th after spending the first half of the season with the Sauber team. Ferrari take the lead in the Constructors' Championship with their driver lineup now of Vettel and Leclerc. That should be a pretty much a lock for them. Mercedes currently 3rd, 62 points behind. Magnussen, if he keeps underperforming, could find himself out of the Mercedes team next year, as his performance this season has pretty much cost Mercedes the fight with Ferrari this season, as K-Mag finds himself a long way back here on 88 points. Charles Leclerc, even though he's only raced a few races for the Ferrari team, is almost overtaking Kevin Magnussen here. So Not looking good for K-Mag next season. He might find himself in another team. What that team might be, who knows? But Mercedes struggling. We're only 8 points behind Ferrari. You never know. If Ferrari have a crash, if Ferrari mess up, we could regain that top spot. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take an inordinate amount of good luck for us to pull off the Constructors win. Even the Drivers win, which I think is definitely out of reach at the moment. We came third overall. Obviously, we're losing a little bit more money this race because we do not have the UPS sponsorship deal. And there we see Vettel confirmed winner. Was there an F2 race this weekend? There was. We get Fukuzumi winning, Rio Haryanto second, who also set the fastest lap, and Nicolas Latifi, the Drivers' Championship leader at the moment, third place. George Russell a little bit improved this race as well. So that should still see ART on top at the moment. And we didn't have a GP3 race at all at the moment. So here we go. We've only got a couple of races to go this season. We'll just get the interview done with Channel 4. Magnussen had a bit of a disaster that race. We'll just say that one because it does butter him up. I think we've buttered up with nearly most of the drivers in the top 3 teams at the moment. But yeah, so we've only got 4 Grand Prix coming up till the end of the season. Phoenix, Rio de Janeiro, Dubai, Phoenix. It's all to play for in the Drivers' Championship. Not really as much between us, but Vettel and Hamilton is going to come down to the wire once again between those two. And it's possibly going to come down to the wire between us and Ferrari for the season-ending race in Phoenix. As we've seen, Gary Horner made the right decision in bringing Charles Leclerc into the team, as they have seen much improvement from Sebastian Vettel. He's really picked up his form this season since Leclerc moved into the team. Ferrari were without a win at that point, but since that point of Leclerc coming in, it's allowed Vettel the freedom, with Leclerc putting the Mercedes under pressure. It's allowed Vettel the freedom to be out at front a little bit more and just running his own sort of race. But that is where we're going to leave this episode. We will be back tomorrow with another Grand Prix, the Phoenix Grand Prix, not the Oval coming up in the last race of the season, but another good race there, pipping Charles Leclerc to the line with Esteban Ocon working that strategy pretty much perfectly. But that is it, another good race. So as usual, like, leave a comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. But until next time, I'll see you down the road in the good old US of A for the Phoenix Grand Prix, and goodbye.